Hello and welcome back to Sprite Guard Plays HyperRogue. This is the brand new version 7.4, just came out as I'm playing this pretty recently. It will have, of course, been out for a little while by the time this gets up online. So there have been a whole bunch of things added. We're going to try and see as many of them as we can, but I have really been struggling with this game recently. Really have not been able to get very far into it at all recently, and so we're going to have to see how much we can accomplish, just try and have the best run that we know how to have, and just hope that we can make the best of it. So I am going to be starting out by grabbing some phoenix feathers. We actually need phoenix feathers in order to visit one of the new lands. That, of course, will also be a way for us to get 10 treasures very quickly, and a way for me to save the game midway through, take a break, and do something else for a while, as I like to do. But for now, we are going to be trying to focus on just getting through and not making too many silly mistakes. Now let's see, can I get into this desert and also grab that? Let's see, no, not quite. We have one of the other running dogs is going to, well, actually, let's see, if we go this way, and then, there we go. So we managed to do that, got our 10 treasures. Now we just need 10 more to unlock, the first new land, and also some other changes that are a little bit interesting, a little bit something I want to talk about, and I don't know that I will ever reach a conclusion, but I have some discomfort about one of the changes. And so hopefully we will be able to see that in not too long. I don't think it's a bad change. I don't think it is something that makes the game any worse. I think that it is probably actually in the long run a good change. But it is one that I am uncomfortable with because of kind of the way that I think about games and the way that I play them, and kind of some hang-ups that I have around game design and development, and the way that I interact, especially with roguelikes. So let us see if we can find our way to a minefield. So it looks like what we have actually found is the first new land, the zebra, which I am not going to go into because I am so bad at it. I have not really figured out a way of approaching it that is at all effective, and so we're going to leave that for now. I am going to head into the Land of Eternal Motion so that we can travel a little bit faster and hopefully find our way to a crossroads, because that is the easiest way that we're going to make progress. And we're seeing actually quite a lot of zebras, and we can, let's see, I don't actually even want to try and cheese it. I don't actually think that that is going to have a good ending. That should just kind of give you an idea of how badly things have been going with the zebra so far. It's not the zebra land, it's just the zebra, which I think is interesting. So we're really not finding crossroads. I'm not sure why. That is something that certainly can happen, but we have found it. I believe they're the most common land, but I don't actually know that. I'm not sure where I saw that. So we want to find a minefield, and you can see that I'm actually auto-clearing one cell around me. I made a couple of discoveries. One is this new change that after having gotten 25 treasures, you will start auto-clearing immediately, and I saw that this was something that was suggested in the forum just to speed things up for people who have been playing this a lot. Speed up kind of the more boring parts of clearing out the minefield. And so in that way, I think it actually is a good gameplay change. But as a permanent unlock, I find it a little bit troubling, because one of the things that I really like about this game, and that I generally really prefer in roguelikes and in games in general, is to not have permanent unlocks. It's something that it's a game design trend that I've always been pretty uncomfortable with, because I really like the kind of the competitive side of games, and the sort of the sense of we're all playing the same game, and especially with roguelikes, I really like that sense of starting out the game from an even footing and being able to compare yourself with people. And that's something that you only really have once you've unlocked everything. Or you have it at 2 points. You have it when you have unlocked nothing, and you have it when you have unlocked everything. And this game is now not one of those games where those two are the same. They're still very close together, and this particular unlock is not very difficult to get, and it's not particularly onerous, but it is something. And the other thing that I discovered as I was investigating this and attempting to get this unlock is actually that if you get more than 10 treasures, if you get like 20, your auto clear radius goes up to 2, and then it will actually continue going up from there as you get more. I've seen it go as far as 3. I think it did not go past 4 when I tried it. Let's see, this one is satisfied. There we go, and that will get us out of there. So, the next thing we want to do is actually take a look at the zebra, see if we can get anything from it, but we're not probably going to go very deep into it, because I've been getting killed every single time. I think that it has a very high monster spawn rate. It feels like I get swarmed there a lot easier than I do anywhere else. And of course, now that I'm actually looking for it, we're not seeing it. There we go. So, the idea in the zebra is that half the tiles are fall away, breakaway tiles, and half of the tiles are not. And it looks like we've encountered one. Okay, here's one where we can get onto some non-breakaway tiles that are actually connected to an entrance. And I'm going to wait for that dog to get up to me. They're striped dogs, they're not zebras. The zebra is what we are on and what we are in, but not what are chasing us. And already you can see I'm getting pretty seriously swarmed by a lot of dogs, and they will each have to take kind of a longer path to get to me as they use up cells, but it looks like they've actually run out of ways to get, but as soon as I kind of make that cell available, well, no, this guy is now trying to get around to somewhere else. So the AI is still, of course, a little bit weird, a little bit finicky. I'm gonna try and stay on this permanent path here, just because it gives me more opportunities to escape. But I really don't want to go very deep in, because, as I said, I have just been getting swarmed every single time. So let's see what it says about these. A black gem with white stripes, it is beautiful. This floor will fall after someone goes there, go quickly. Everything in this land has black and white stripes. And we need 30 treasure, 10 phoenix feathers, and after we collect 10 onyx, there's actually a new mode, a random pattern mode, that is pretty interesting, that we have to unlock by getting 10 onyx. Let's see if we can do that. Going to be playing it very safe, and just really pulling away, saying, you know what, we're not going to go for it unless the circumstances are ideal. That's, of course, a policy that I have used throughout the entire series, and it's something that I intend to continue using because it has served me incredibly well. And so I'm going to, let's see, we have not enough shield left to really make that a consideration. Just going to dip in here really briefly. And it looks like we actually have some striped dogs. Okay, that's okay. We're doing okay. So now I'm going to step very carefully along here and try and pick this one up. And then I want to make sure the timings work out right. And that the dogs don't... Okay, there we go. So now I see a path we can take to pick that one up and get back there. And we spawned a few more striped dogs, but we're just going to pull back. We have 7. We only need 3 more. So I am going to continue on here and see if we can get those 7 more. It looks like if we... let's see, I don't see any coming yet. So let's just step in here and see if we can get that one to begin with. And then we're going to try and go for this one over by the exit. And we only need 1 more. So we are going to kind of now say, okay, we did that, great. Gonna pull away and see if we can do it again someplace else with kind of the same, you know, wanting to set up a really good condition under which we can act and just really not take any chances. So here we go. We can actually step out along this path, grab that. New achievement, Striped Dog, collect 10 onyxes. And so now we are able to get the orb for this area. And I do not know what the orb for this area is. We will have to see. I am really curious to see what it does, what its power is. There's Orb of Flash, and I don't even actually know what the name of the orb is. So, there's 2 more things that we can kind of look at doing. One is we do want 60 treasures. We have a mirrored land here that... Whoops! Didn't mean to set that off. But we have the mirrored land available to us, so we can poke our heads in here, see if we can gather up some treasures. And maybe make a few mistakes along the way, because why not? And, oh boy. Mimics are... I really, you know, when I first kind of was playing this game, and I was reading the help text, one of the things was that the mimics in this game were more annoying than useful. And I was kind of, when I was first playing this, I was like, what are you talking about? They, like, really protect you. But they also break treasures and make things difficult. The fjord is actually one of the areas where we have something new to do. So I'm going to see if we can grab 3 more treasures here relatively quickly, and then maybe make our way back in there. And I'm actually going to leave that troll corpse there to make it a little bit easier to find our way back to the fjord. Let's see, we have all 10, there we go. So now we're going to head in here and just gather up treasures as quickly as we can. We need 5 of them. And then we will be looking for an elemental. And hopefully it won't take too long to get it. Here it comes. So I'm going to try and set up conditions for combat. Let's see. That's that Viking gotten rid of. We can put a troll there. That will keep the ground a little bit higher. But it got washed away, actually, by that elemental's powers. So I was a little bit wrong about how that would work. I kind of want to get away from this ivy, because it's going to make things harder. Let's see, fight that one. So now that we have actually killed 1 elemental, that is all that we need. We can now actually grab a magic... Oh, we can't actually get to that boat. Okay, never mind. Let's see. We have 60 treasures, so we have Crossroads Type 2. There's a Crossroads Type 3 now. I don't know what is necessary to trigger it, but it is pretty interesting, and I am hoping that we will get an opportunity to check it out. For now, what we want to do is look for the new land that we've unlocked by killing an elemental. So it is the elemental plane, and it has... is this... Oh, this! This is one of the other new ones. This is the Ivory Tower. Powerful wizards claimed this part of the world to perform their magical experiments in peace and solitude. They have changed the direction of gravity to make it even harder for intruders to reach them. Gravity works as follows. Cells are unstable if they are empty, and there is no cell immediately below them which contains a wall. It is impossible to move from one unstable cell to another except if moving down. Treasure required 60. Okay. So, let's see. We have ladders here. Let's see. You can use this ladder to climb the tower, so... Oh my goodness. The screen has rotated in order to reflect the change in gravity. Okay, so... Let's see. Yeah, it's impossible to move from this cell upwards because it's unstable. And gravity keeps, like, warping around the screen. It's wonderful. Let's see. And then we have these platforms here you can stand on. So we can climb up this ladder, and it looks like we have bats after us. Which is, let's see, oh, gargoyles. A being made of stone who likes high buildings. It became normal stone when killed, but only if next to something stable, otherwise it falls. Alright, so let's see if we can... Oh, you cannot move through the platform. They support you. I see. Now, does that... Yeah, that gets us something to stand on. And that actually creates a wall there. So we can actually build out a wall that we maybe can't move along. But we can make, actually, the cells that we're on stable by climbing along them. And then when we're on an unstable cell, we can't actually move in any direction other than either downwards or toward a stable cell. Okay, so from here we actually are not quite able to reach any higher, and so I'm going to work my way around. Here is a ladder. I don't actually know what the treasure is for this area. I don't know... Oh my goodness, what is this? Ivory figurine. A beautiful figurine made of ivory. Figurines close to the base of the tower tend to disappear after you have collected many of them. Interesting, so... it sounds like that's something that... Let's see... Gravity does not... Oh, right, it has to be above something stable. So let's see if we can make our way to that. I'm not sure what it means by disappear. And I think probably what it means is that we cannot get... New achievement, reach the Ivory Tower, find and collect an ivory figurine. So I think what that means is that the more of these we collect, the further we will have to go in order to collect any of them. So apparently ladders are not considered stable, which makes sense. But that means that that gargoyle did not leave a rock, a stone gargoyle. So it looks like we have a few that we can gather up here. Let's see if we can get 10, and then we will see if we can find our way back to the bottom of the tower. It's interesting. This is actually, it's, I think, going to be more of a... it's hard to say if it's more of a wall, isn't it? Because it borders along one of the straight lines. Ah, what are these? Servants. A simple servant of the master of the Ivory Tower. I wonder if there's a boss at the top of this. Let's see if we can jump up to that ladder. Keep climbing. And then hopefully it will be easier to make our way down than it is to make our way up. Let's see, we have 6. Looks like we're going to get a couple more here. And we can use that to make a ledge for ourselves. That kind of more got in the way than anything else, but I think killing these guys is just a useful thing to do. Gets them out of our way, creates more stable ground, and the worst it does is just maybe create a wall that is a little bit annoying. But we can always get around the wall because it creates stable ground. Actually, I don't know that it creates stable ground around it. I think it only creates stable ground above it, so... There we go. New achievement, Servant. Collect 10 ivory figurines. Let's see. How are we going to handle this combat coming up? Looks like they will line up pretty easily. So, okay, so let's see if we can find our way downwards now. We cannot move through a platform, so that is not an option. We're just going to have to find the end of this platform and then make our way down. And it looks like we have some combat coming up that is not going to be easy or obvious. And it looks like we're going to have to go up here, nothing to stand on. So it looks like we can't even fight if we're not on stable ground. That kind of continues the rule of this game has of basically that you jump and it takes a turn for you to even just jump. So there we go. That's most of our combat dealt with. It looks like we have a couple more coming up. But now we're on another platform, and we kind of have to move our way to the other end of it. We can't really get around that very easily. But it looks like this one is not too long. That one will not leave a body. So now we can start making our way downwards. And now this is going to be interesting because there's only really one direction downwards. But it's also the only direction we can move in at all easily. And so it looks like moving downwards will be easier than moving upwards. We also are not restricted to using ladders. We don't have to jump, we don't have to stand, we can just fall. And we are going to, of course, make our way around probably along the lines that we have moved along, and probably end up coming back to some places that we've already been. But we will be heading towards this area. I'm not actually sure. Let's see, if we go a little ways and then around and then make our way back here, I think we have to go, the further out we go, the further we have to go to make any progress at all. And so what actually ends up happening is we end up almost exactly where we started, no matter how far we go. So this is the elemental plane. Let's see, what does this do? An air elemental looks like a live tornado. Once you are 3 or less cells from it, it is impossible to move closer due to strong winds. You can stand and wait, though. This also affects most monsters. Okay. And we can kill that. It looks like we don't get orbs of air for killing them. So we have kind of an interesting pattern in this area. Is we have this plane of air that we're in right now. Elemental planes are divided into 4 subzones, planes of fire, water, air, and earth. You need to collect a shard from each plane to construct an elemental gem. It's dangerous to collect too many shards of the same type without constructing a gem. Okay. So we are going to try and explore this, and it's divided up by these walls that actually make these kind of 4-point tilings that are pretty cool. And I don't actually know, I think these might be, let's see, eternal fire at the borders, so making our way into the land of fire, or rather the fire plane, is going to be a little bit tricky. So we can grab a water shard, maybe grab a couple of them even, depending on how things go. but our movement is turning out to be very restricted in the elemental plane, much more so than I expected. So all we need now is actually a fire one, and we just need to get into the fire realm, the plane of fire, and that's going to be probably a little bit tricky. And we now actually have 2 of a couple of them. Okay, so I'm not really sure actually how we're going to get into the plane of fire. I've been just having a very... Okay, here we are. Now we are in it. We can grab a shard, and that will give us a gem. Oh, that gets us 4 gems, actually. Let's see. Treasure collected, elemental gems. So yeah, that gets us 4 elemental gems. I'm not sure exactly how that... I believe we just used 1 of each, but I'm not entirely sure. So let us grab a couple more fire gems, and then probably head into another land. And let's see, we need probably 1 more earth shard. Now we're going to probably look for water and air. Now it looks like we can get into this water plane here. Grab 1 of those. And now we just need to get into the plane of air. And I wonder if the elementals will start dropping orbs when we get more treasures. I don't know. We may have to get quite a lot of treasures, because that seems downright broken if it's just 10. And there we go. And that gets us the first, or 4 more gems. So we can only get them in groups of 4, actually, which is going to make things a little bit tricky. Now, I believe it looks like fires actually go out pretty quickly when they are not in the land of fire. Oh, I think it's the water elemental putting them out. So let's see, what do we need? What are we missing? Let's see, 1 fire, 1 water, 1 earth, so we need 1 air. I believe this is air over here. Let's see, air shard, yes. And that will get us the lesser elemental, construct 10 elemental gems. So that is that achievement gotten. So it looks like there's this kind of really interesting tiling pattern that is based on these 90-degree intersections in these kind of infinite regions. I had seen one tiling that is kind of well known in the hyperbolic plane is 90-degree angles and pentagonal shapes. And so that is something that I was wondering if we would get that, but I believe that would be actually quite small if they tried to make it in this world. Possibly even smaller. Too small to even fit. I feel like there's a mode actually where you can do that in this game. I don't remember now, but it's not all that important. It is a tiling that I remember encountering for some other reason that is now completely lost to me. I am starting to fade a bit. I think it's time to look for an orb of safety. And we would really actually prefer to get our way into a proper crossroads. We have pretty narrow, not a lot of room for maneuvering, but there's an orb of safety. I'm going to call it there. We are going to take a break. In the next part of the episode, we are going to continue to explore the game a little bit. See if we can get on a Yender quest, and maybe look for a princess quest. We kind of have a lot of options open to us right now. We do want to try and find the new crossroads, and so I'm going to look up what it is that it takes to trigger that, and then we will look for that. I believe we have seen all 3 of the new lands, or the new lands that have treasures. We'll be looking for the new orbs, so we'll be looking for a crossroads. So that is all what is coming up. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.